So, Lexie,
Yes.
let's talk. Tell me what is going on with Serve West Dallas.
Sure. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be back in the studio with you, Aliah. We are huge fans of Charity Talk and certainly of you personally. Serve West Dallas has been busy since the last time we were in the studio. I believe at that time we were talking about West Dallas Day Out, our community picnic, and several initiatives we either launching or move forward in. And so we're very, very thankful to say that folks responded to the call for volunteers, came out to West Dallas Day Out. You and TJ and other friends certainly came out to our Thanksgiving event that we do to feed our elderly. And now, with the new year upon us, we're in a new year of activities.
Okay.
Certainly on the event side, we've got our big Easter egg hunt, which we call Extravaganza. That's going to be on the first Saturday of April. April Fools, although this is not an April Fool's joke. It will be on April 1st in West Dallas. It's actually on the grounds of West Dallas Community School. But
And talk a little bit about,
Sure.
so is it an Easter egg hunt for everybody or the kiddos, or tell us a little bit about what to expect?
Sure. So we do have adults out there, but it is an Easter egg hunt for the kiddos.
Okay.
We, in general, say from 1 to 12 years old.
Okay.
Again, we do ask for adult supervision, so adults are invited. But yes, it is an Easter egg hunt for the children of West Dallas. We typically have about 1,000 kids out there. We've been
Wow.
doing this for a while. So not only is it an Easter egg hunt, we have a petting zoo, we have a climbing wall. It is a whole community event that we do. And so we're very excited about this because this is something, again, we believe in consistency in the community. And so when we invest, we think in terms of long term because we feel like that's how you actually transform a community, not just one-up events. And so we've been doing this extravaganza for a number of years. And so, again, it is an Easter egg hunt. We've got the petting zoo. We've got the climbing wall. Certainly organizations that serve our residents, they will be out there with booths. And it's just free food. I mean, it's just a big community event. There is absolutely a call out there for volunteers.
Okay.
And so we, for this event, it requires at least about 200 to 300 volunteers.
Wow, that's a
So
lot.
we need the manpower. So if you're at all interested in volunteering, you can certainly contact me through our website, Serve West Dallas, and we will connect you with the volunteer coordinator for the event. But that's a big event on the event side that's coming up with Serve West Dallas. But on the side of the house where we're actually executing on the initiatives and programs, we've been very active in that. We've got about 3 or 4 initiatives that are moving forward right now. Certainly one is our Faith Community Health Initiative, and that's where we're partnering with our community churches as well as the hospital systems to train caregivers in the community, in the churches, to be able to respond and react to those residents that may have some sort of health challenge. And we want to educate them on the resources that are in the community. And hopefully the end impact is our residents aren't using the ERs as primary care. They're
that makes
using
sense.
community resources as primary care. Also, they're being cared for in the community. When I say cared for, I think in terms of when you have some sort of chronic illness or some sort of whatever may happen, you need that person that will help you to either navigate through the system, the healthcare system, or to remind you, you need to be taking your medicine. You need to be, eating healthy or whatever. And so to have that level of care for our residents within West Dallas. And so we're moving forward with that initiative, as well as our Pathways initiative, which is a job initiative. So we're moving forward with that. In fact, we just launched the pre-pilot where we're actually recruiting residents that are basically in the 19 to 24 age range that have graduated from high school but may not necessarily go to a 4-year college.
Oh, okay.
They want to make a living wage.
Okay.
how can we provide a career pathway in order for them to do that. So we've partnered with Baylor, BUMC, Baylor University Medical Center. We've partnered with DCCCD, as well as DISD and others, Anthem Strong Families, other strategic partners, in order to create this pathway for the resident that fits that particular demographic. So we're moving forward with those types of initiatives because we realize, like I've said before, Serve West Dallas, we're a collective impact organization. And so it takes multiple organizations, multiple strategies, multiple perspectives to be able to understand the challenges of a community like West Dallas and to be able to bring all those ideas and perspectives to the table and to begin to move the whole community forward.
That sounds really wonderful. I mean, it sounds like there's so much going on to kind of bridge those gaps there in West Dallas, which is so important.
Absolutely.
I've spent a lot of time because we do have some clientele in that area, and so certainly I've seen just a change over the last 6 years. And so it's certainly remarkable to see the community changing.
Yeah.
Year after year, and you're getting new, whether it's a new business or just a new initiative just kind of going on, or seeing a couple of the streets that maybe weren't cleaned up and now they are cleaned up.
Yeah.
It really does make a difference.
It absolutely does. And we talk about, the reality in West Dallas is there's lots of great development going on. I mean, we want those bridges. We want, the things that are happening all along Singleton to happen because that's, the role of a city to bring development, to bring that type of physical transformation. But we, as far as Serve West Dallas, we're about not only the physical transformation, but certainly the spiritual, the economic, the relational transformation that happens in those individuals and families within the community. And so seeing that take place through the work of not only Serve West Dallas, but the organizations we represent has been so powerful. Yeah, and it's been honestly fun to be a part of.
I think it's a great fit. I mean, it seems like you're really comfortable and you've brought so much. I mean, obviously your experiences go pretty far in our nonprofit sector, and so certainly, you're able to get in there and not start, but just continue the work that
Absolutely. Yeah, and to go deep with that, and also what we feel like a little bit of my role is to help the larger North Texas or Dallas community understand, what does collective impact mean? And so there are certainly several organizations here in our community that do that type of work. And when I say community, meaning the larger Dallas community. So there's the School Zone and several other organizations that do this idea of collective impact. And because this is in some ways a new idea, there's different models for the way the different organizations are doing it. So you have some organizations that very much so focus on metrics. There are some organizations that focus very much so on serving the organizations that they're bringing together. And each one kind of has their specialty. And I feel like my role for Serve West Dallas and even to our community is to help, to articulate what is this idea of collective impact? What is it we're trying to do with this model? And then how does it really impact the community that we're in? So it's been a wonderful challenge, but we're hopefully doing it.
Well, I mean, I'm on the outside looking in, but, certainly it looks like it's moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing. And, when you hear residents talk about their neighborhoods and all the things that are going on, I mean, that's your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are living it, breathing it, have seen it at its worst. But to hear people just really say they love their neighborhood, they love their community, they feel safe, there's so much going on, I think speaks volume.
I think that, and also, honestly, I am loving the level of engagement that I'm seeing, not only in West Dallas, but even throughout the North Texas community in the United States. Because even if things aren't all great, when it's not great and people speak up, I think it is so powerful. I think that is so representative of the ideal of what America is about, that we as citizens can take ownership for the change that we want to see. And so being able to articulate what we perceive the problem to be, but then also at the same time bring a solution to the table.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Dr. Froswa, what do you think?
Oh, there's so much there. One, you all are doing a fabulous job, and I like the fact that you're focusing on transformation, because I think that so many organizations come in and it's really project-based. They won't say that, but they're not looking at the long-term good for a community. And I like the fact that you're really concerned with buy-in of the neighborhood. I got a call earlier. There's a national group called Net Impact, and I spoke at their conference in Philadelphia, and they're working with these young people, and all of them have these projects. They do a fellows program, and all of them are doing these projects, and they're getting some resistance, and some of them are attributing it to the political environment that we're in. And what I'm saying is, have you asked the people in the community what they need? Because it's so very easy, and even prior to that, I had another conversation earlier. People have these great ideas about what they want to see in community, and because I may have read an article or I drive through and I go, oh my God, that's so horrible, it may be to you. And for the people that live there, it may be a very different way of viewing things. And so how do you make sure that you're asking people what their needs are and you're listening well? That's, I think, been the biggest issue in a lot of our communities is people are coming in with their ideas, and you all have done a really good job of getting buy-in and making sure that you're having partners around the table, and especially those people who live in the community. Because for many agencies, you don't have the indigenous leadership running it. So what happens is folks come in and then they leave and go home to the suburbs, and they don't really know what happens. Yeah. And I often say just because people look like the people in those communities doesn't necessarily mean that they get it either. So you all have done a really good job of what you do. The collective impact piece is one that's really interesting for me because I have mixed feelings on it. And I'll say this. Collective impact to me doesn't really pay attention to power dynamics and privilege in communities. So I always joke, if Sister Ura is at the table and then you got bank president and he has a loan to her home, will she really say anything in those quarters? And I think people don't understand the difference between agreement and compliance. So I will nod my head, not necessarily because I'm in agreement, but it's just complying because you've got something I need. And nonprofits don't often recognize that you have stuff that people need. So I'm going to smile in your face and go, sounds good. And behind your back go, oh, these people, what they're doing, but I need what you have. And so how do you make sure that you're creating the space for people to have their power rightfully? And walk alongside of them and come in instead of coming in and tell them what they need to do. And you all have seemed to do that very well from what I've seen and heard.
Thank you so much. And that's actually a very important distinction that Dr. Booker-Drew just brought up because this idea of collective impact, the term is fairly new, and I think folks are still trying to wrap their heads around what does it mean, because if you look at different collective impact organizations, they may have a different focus. And so you can see one and think, oh, that's collective impact. And you can see another and think, oh, that's collective impact. And yet, they have the same, using the same term, but how they do it is still so different. And so there's still this struggle, I think, even the nonprofit community figure out what exactly does it mean, and who are all the players, and what are their positions at the table, and all of that.
And they haven't identified the assets. I think typically we walk into communities and we look at deficits. And what's lacking, and we don't recognize, I don't care how impoverished a community is, that there are assets that exist. And with the collective impact model, there are the 5 things that need to be present. And I don't think people really live into that space of how do you make sure one is a backbone organization that has the support to do it, but how is there the shared language and that communication is happening? Because if you're not constantly reporting back to people what's going on, then why are people going to be a part of it? Because they're still doing their own work.
Yeah.
And so to your point, I've seen a number of models, and some I cringe because, either the right people aren't at the table, and it's people who may have a heart for something but really don't live in those spaces. And I think if you want to create change, bring the people who are experiencing the problems and let them tell you what they need, and you bring your resources and partner with them to create what they need, because they have to deal with it. And even with the movements we're seeing now, I'm with you. I am so inspired. Despite some days that I wake up and I'm going, interesting season. I'm encouraged because you are seeing, for the people, by the people, where people are now authoring what they want their communities to look like.
Yeah.
And it's sad that sometimes it takes jolts to get people to start going, we're in this boat together. And if it doesn't, float, we're all in trouble.
Yeah. If I don't do something to make this float, we're all in trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so to have that level of ownership
Yeah.
and the ideal of connecting to each other to do that my success is contingent upon yours.
Yeah.
It's exciting to me to see how this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
If we keep the momentum, what this can look like for American history.
Yeah. Yeah.